the Imperial Japanese military, the sword was more than a sidearm. It was the soul of the warrior. From the Western-style sabers of the Meiji era to the mass-produced steel of the late war, these blades were the ultimate symbols of authority and aggression. Today, we're breaking down every variant of the Japanese Gunto used in World War II. The Kyū Guntō family. Old military swords. The Type 19 Kyū Guntō was the Western-influenced sidearm known famously as the D-guard sword. You'll immediately notice the European-style D-guard handguard and the gleaming chrome-plated scabbard that looks more like a French cavalry saber than a traditional Japanese blade. It was a status symbol for senior officers that was widely carried during the early campaigns in China and remained a mark of high-ranking officials through the war's end. This blade represented an era when Japan looked to the West for military inspiration before the nationalist tides of the 1930s changed everything. Moving from Western elegance to the revival of the ancient samurai spirit, we have the Shin Guntō family.
The Shin Guntō family. New military swords. The Type 94 Shin Guntō was the first of the nationalist military blades known simply as the 94. It is identifiable by its return to the traditional silk-wrapped hilt and the signature double-hanger suspension system on the scabbard. This was the weapon that brought the katana silhouette back to the front lines, serving as a lethal physical link to Japan's feudal history. It signaled to the world that the modern Japanese officer was a direct successor to the samurai of old. The Type 98 Shin Guntō was the ultimate workhorse of the officer corps, nicknamed the Standard Officer's Sword. It looks nearly identical to the Type 94, but features a streamlined scabbard with only one suspension hanger to save on precious brass and copper. This was the most common Japanese sword of the entire conflict, used by officers in every theater, from the Aleutian Islands to the South Pacific. It was mass-produced to meet the demands of a global war while maintaining the prestige of a hand-wrapped battle blade.
The Type 3 Shin Guntō was a ruggedized late-war weapon, often called the contingency sword by modern collectors. You can see its simplified dark brown hilt wrap and a reinforced double locking mechanism designed to keep the blade secure during silent, stealthy movements. It was a durable, no-nonsense tool built specifically for the grueling realities of jungle combat and the crippling industrial shortages of 1945. These blades often featured matte, non-reflective finishes to avoid giving away a soldier's position in the thick tropical brush.
Stepping away from commissioned officers to the backbone of the front lines, we move to the machine-made NCO blades.
The NCO, Non-Commissioned Officer Family. The Type 95 NCO Guntō was the standard issue sidearm for sergeants, famously known as the sergeant's sword. It's recognizable by its cast aluminum or copper hilt, painted to mimic traditional silk wrap, and the machine-stamped serial numbers located near the guard. Unlike the hand-forged officer blades, this was an industrial killing tool issued to NCOs responsible for leading the most intense infantry assaults of the war. It was a weapon of pure utility, valued more for its rugged factory steel than its artistic merit. Leaving the Army's mud behind for the salt spray of the Pacific, we find the naval blades. The Kai Guntō family. Naval swords. The Type 97 Kai Guntō was the premier sidearm for the Imperial fleet, nicknamed the naval sword. It is distinguished by its dark brown or black lacquered scabbard and the use of genuine ray skin on the hilt, accented with gold-plated brass fittings.
This was the primary combat blade for naval officers and elite special naval landing forces who brought the fight from the sea to the shore. These swords were specially engineered with moisture-resistant materials to prevent the blade from rusting in the high-humidity maritime climate of the Pacific. Beyond the standard officer and sergeant patterns, specialized units required unique combat steel for their specific missions.
Specialized combat blades. The cavalry saber was the utilitarian horseman's sidearm, simply known as the cavalry saber. You'll see a Western-style D-guard and a blade length specifically optimized for striking targets with a downward slash while mounted on horseback. It was the standard tool for cavalry units and military police who needed a functional, durable blade for mounted patrol and maintaining order in occupied territories. Its reach and balance made it a terrifying tool in the hands of a skilled rider during the early war in Manchuria. The Naval Landing Force cutlass was the heavy-duty boarding tool nicknamed the Navy cutlass. It features a simple, oversized D-guard and a short, thick steel blade that looks more like a heavy machete than a traditional sword. It was used by boarding parties and landing units as a brutal, multi-purpose tool for clearing dense foliage and winning close-quarters naval engagements. The heavy weight of the blade allowed it to chop through obstacles and armor that would have chipped a more delicate katana. The evolution of the Japanese military sword reflects an empire caught between Western modernity and ancient tradition. Whether hand-forged or machine-stamped, these blades were the final lethal tools of the imperial command. Which of these Gunto variants do you think is the most iconic? Let us know in the comments and subscribe for more military history.